sing a happy song together, and we'll all be a happy family.
Hi, welcome back to the channel. So here it is.
Microscopic nuclei being surrounded by what's happened on an existential for them, because their whole financial establishment is based on stability. They themselves are going to start running into...
So it's working well, and that unfortunately meant there wasn't much material for making a video on it really. I'll just show briefly what I've done inside. Oops, trying to do everything one-handed. So what I've done here is I've just added a connector for a PP3 battery, and I put a bit of heat shrink over the terminals, the original battery terminals. So I've left them in place. I haven't changed the originality of it there. Very little else was done really. All I've done overall is to clean up the contacts, the on-off switch and the volume pot and the wave band change switch, and replace the 7 electrolytics. Even though the radio was working before that, it is a bit better after having done so. And then I tweaked the alignment a little bit. The alignment wasn't far off, and I did make a little trimming tool, and I was going to show that, but I can't find it. That's typical. Here we are. Yeah, so I made a little trimming tool out of a interdental brush that had worn out. Just cut the end off there. Used the Dremel tool to narrow this down because it had to fit into the cores, and it, rather than being a slot in the core which you turn, these had like a ridge in the core, so you had to put the slot in the tool. So I made that up, and it's quite a useful way of doing that really, is to make up your own trimming tools from something like that, because this is really strong sort of plastic. And I didn't have to trim it much. A lot of videos out there of people aligning radios, but yeah, basically I just realigned the 470 kilohertz IF cores, and then the low end set the oscillator core, and at the top end the trimmer capacitor, and that really sorted that out. So really very little I can say on it, other than just to recap that the other thing I did do was to take out the 2 AF117s. I put them through the zapping procedure. What happened after that is that I reinstalled them and the radio didn't work, and I thought, oh, perhaps the oscillator one isn't working, TR1. So I changed TR1 for one of the Russian transistors that I have, and the radio still didn't work. So then I changed TR2 for a Russian transistor, and then the radio worked. But in doing so, I realized that I'd installed TR2 with the collector connected to the ground side by mistake. So because I mistook the hole for the grounding shield of the transistor for the one for the collector, so I hadn't installed the transistor correctly, and that's why it didn't work. Then obviously I could have taken the Russian transistors out again and fitted the other ones, but all that soldering and desoldering is going to make these tracks lift on this vintage circuit board. And in the end I made a decision that I wouldn't do it just for the sake of the video, so I've left the AF117s out, but they do test okay now. and I've left the Russian transistors fitted. I decided that if it worked with the Russian ones, I would leave them in. So really all I'm going to do now with it is to make up a little system for making sure the battery doesn't flop around, find some way to support that in there, clean it up generally, but it's working on both long wave and medium wave. And if I go for it, there's my huge diagram of the Russian transistors, which are GT322B. There's the pin layout from underneath for that. Underneath that I've written the layout, a more normal size, of the AF117 layout, so that I could install these in the place the originals AF117s came out. And they have a screen connection just the same as the AF117s, and the gain's a little bit lower than these tested, but yeah, it works. So I'm going to leave it at that, and I'm sorry that there wasn't more to do on this video, because I thought, oh, this would be an interesting project to get working, and only found that the radio actually worked once I connected a battery. So yeah, that's it for now. So thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.
Sing a happy song together, and we'll all be a happy family.